Welcome back to the show. Now, the anticipation is fast building up to former President Jacob Zuma's first day of testimony at the state capture inquiry.
Let's get some developments on the ground now, where we cross to Newzroom Africa, Sindisiwe Twala. She is outside the commission venue in Parktown, Johannesburg. Sindisiwe, good morning. What can you tell us about the developments there since this morning?
It's been quite a busy morning for a lot of journalists who have been queuing at the church opposite this particular venue. And now the queuing continues right at the back of me, where more and more people are queuing to try and get into this main entrance. We're all trying to make our way inside to possibly get seating. We know the Commission issued a statement last night as well, confirming that there's going to be limited seats for everybody to come here. For us who are regulars who always come here, there's usually ample seats. But today we know that might not be the case. We're not sure as of yet if any of his legal representatives have made their way inside or not. But what we can definitely be sure of is that they're not going to be using the main entrance where all of the people who have come to the State Capture Commission have used to testify. Is probably going to use the one in which the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo uses coming to the Commission.
So, Sindisiwe, as you've said, I mean, the numbers are going to be large. I think 5,000 people are expected over there, but you can only accommodate 200. What's the filtration system looking like currently? We know when you crossed over to Karen Morn earlier on, pretty much every member of the media was going through accreditation. People are being asked to produce their credentials. And so what's it like for the supporters of President Zuma there?
At the place where I'm currently stationed, all you can possibly see is just journalists making their way around here, setting up in order to also do their crossings or to make their way inside. But in terms of the supporters, they're actually placed quite far from the venue. It's on another side where Mbali is going to be stationed. We also heard that people are currently making their way in there. We have not seen the buses of yet, as was previously announced that buses might be able to come to with his supporters who possibly have traveled from last night, but that is still sketchy at the moment. But what we're all anticipating at the point where I'm at right now is what exactly will take place today, whether the former president will testify or not. But looking at how things have actually been done in the past, last week to be quite accurate, we had the testimony of Bruce Kolwane on a Monday. It was postponed. He spoke quite lengthily, but then he requested an adjournment. He had his legal advocate in tow, and they requested an adjournment in order for them to familiarize themselves with the audio recordings or telephonic conversations that would paint their client in a bad light. Looking at the communication that has been taking place between the Commission's evidence leaders as well as that of the former president, there was still the issue of the request of questions not been granted, them saying that the fact that they've given him an idea of what the testimony will be about should be sufficient. So since that matter is still pending, we're still to hear whether they've received any form of further communication. Today might be a situation where they request more time in order to familiarize themselves, even if it's 24 hours, of the evidence of the different testimonies that will paint their client in a bad light.
Sindisiwe, have you had an opportunity to perhaps see some of the supporters? I believe former Finance Minister Des van Rooyen is already there. MKVA leader Carl Niehaus also there to support former President Zuma. Has there been an opportunity? Have they interacted with the media ahead of former President Zuma's appearance?
Not at all, actually. Where we currently stationed, from when I left the supporters section coming here, they hadn't actually come. But I'm pretty sure that in the next few minutes or so, just before the former president makes his appearance, that it'll become more lively. We know that the testimony, or his appearance rather, is expected to commence at 10. So there's still quite a lot of time. It's quite late for us journalists, but for an ordinary person coming here to show solidarity for the former president, it's still quite a lot of time before then. 9 o'clock should be the time where we can expect, or just after 9, where we can expect some form of happenings where Mbali, another one of my colleagues, is going to be stationed.
And then to close off, I mean, we've been speaking and kind of speculating about whether or not we're likely to see any kind of statement being made by former President Jacob Zuma. But what's your sense, just having covered the story? Do you feel like if he does speak today, that'll be the first and only time? Or if he doesn't, that maybe he'll speak tomorrow going into Wednesday and the rest of the week? What's your sense, just having been on the ground currently?
What we can all be sure of is that the former president is somebody that you can never confirm or say or preempt what he's going to do and what he's not going to do. Having also viewed the Twitter or the social media video of him dancing or chanting to Zuma must fall, almost mocking some people who had actually protested against him in the past. I don't expect this to go on for the whole week. But we know for sure that there's a number of people who have testified against him, the likes of this year only Rajesh Sundaram, who was instrumental in the forming of ANN7, who mentioned that the former president was part and parcel of a numerous meetings, 4 meetings to be exact, in the setting up of the channel, as well as the sale of the SABC archive footage for a throwaway price. We also heard testimony from various other people. Fikile Mbalula, the current Minister of Transport, earlier in the year also testified, saying that in 2011 already he had his reservations about the Gupta family and their influence they had, and he raised this at an ANC-NEC meeting, and the list goes on, as well as the various code names that people have been putting out there. Having listened to 2 weeks of aviation testimony, the code name there was number 1. Having listened to the ANN7 debacle at the time, the code name there was number 9. So a lot of people have made reference to the former president in various stages, but it's going to be interesting to see which of those testimonies will be prioritized for this leg, at least, of his evidence or testimony that he's going to be giving this week.
That's our reporter Sindisiwe Twala outside the Zondo Commission. She, of course, is part of the Newzroom Africa team that is covering former President Zuma's much anticipated appearance at the Commission. He hasn't